Welcome to IDK, and I'm your host, Asasa Agbantan. This is a new series called Sanfoka Sessions. The phrase Sanfoka is inspired by the Ghanaian symbol, which means to go back and get it, and learn from the past to move forward, and that's what we hope to do during this series. Today, we're unpacking a phrase that's exploded across social media, which is called Black Fatigue. No, not the term coined by diversity scholar Mary Frances Winter to describe the exhaustion Black people feel from racism. This newer usage flips the blame. Some racist users now say they feel fatigued by Black people, a complaint that rides the same wave as anti-woke rhetoric. Where did this come from? Why now? And what does it mean for Black communities who are already navigating record hate, crime levels, and online harassment? Here's a short clip from TikTok user Amy Chen to describe this new term that's being used all over social media.
And the term Black fatigue has been used by Black people for quite a while. Mary Frances Winters wrote a book that came out in 2020 titled Black Fatigue, and it describes the mental, emotional, and physical exhaustion that Black people experience because of systemic racism. Now, notice how Black people didn't call that white fatigue, because the purpose is not to assign blame in order to justify bad behavior. It is called Black fatigue because it is a harm that Black people experience, and so their focus is on addressing and combating that harm. Whereas when white people talk about experiencing Black fatigue, they are not talking about a harm that they experience because of Black people or anybody else. They are literally telling on their own inability to live in society with Black people. And that's not new either. That's a pathology that has existed for hundreds of years, but call it what it is, white rage.
Here's another clip from TikTok user Parkrose Permaculture who stitched a video from somebody talking about Black fatigue.
Black fatigue is real. I think society as a whole is there. We are just so unbelievably fed up with the ghetto ratchet behavior, entitlement, the victimhood. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. She'll be watching her back for the rest of her life. Yeah, because that's not thuggery, hydrattery, animalistic. This is why people have Black fatigue. When you act like this.
Joining me today will be Emathodon Gabriel, who is a Pan-African organizer and historian, and later on in the episode I also have a segment with Daniel Igodaro, who is a first-year American study student at the University of Essex. And now here's our segment from Daniel Igodaro, who's going to give us more insight into Black fatigue, what he thinks about it as an avid social media user.
Hey, I'm Daniel Igodaro. I'm a first-year American studies student at the University of Essex. So, I want to talk about something that's been on my mind lately. This thing people are calling Black fatigue. I keep seeing it on my social media, and at first, I was like, okay, another term. What's this one about? But the more I looked into it, the more it hit me. This is exactly what I've been feeling. It's not just being tired, it's that deeper exhaustion. The kind that builds up from constantly navigating race in everyday life. Even in spaces that seem normal or safe. Like in uni. And when seminars talking about race, identity, history. And sometimes it feels like I'm expected to have all the answers. Just because I'm the only Black student in the room. It's just a weird pressure. Like I'm representing everyone without even being asked to. And then there's the stuff outside class. Subtle things. Microaggressions. Comments that don't seem like a big deal at first, but they build up. And after a while, it starts to weigh on you. That's Black fatigue. It's the emotional and mental drain of dealing with all that. But still trying to be normal, still showing up, still performing well, still smiling. It's like you're holding all this, and most people don't even notice. I think what really gets to me is the fact that it's invisible. It's not something you can easily explain to people who've never felt it. You just kind of carry it quietly until you realize other people are carrying it too. I've spoken to a few friends, some here in the UK, some back home, and we've all felt it in different ways, whether it's in the classroom, at work, or even online. There's that same kind of heaviness, and it's global. It's not just a British thing or an American thing. It's everywhere. But I guess what I've been learning is that rest is also a response. Like it's okay to pause, to not always have to explain or perform or prove something. That in itself is powerful. So, yeah, black fatigue is real. But so is black joy, black healing, black community. And I think that's where we find the strength to keep on going. Not by pushing through all the time, but by giving us space, by giving ourselves space to, just be.
Thank you, Daniel Iguodaro, for that segment. Unfortunately, Daniel couldn't be here today, but he did say he would send a segment like he has done, so thank you for that. Now we are going to move on to Imafidon Gabriel, who, like I said earlier, is a Pan-African organizer and historian.
So, Imafidon, I just wanted to ask you, what do you feel, or how do you feel when you hear that people are, tired of black people?
All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Agunta, and my name is Imafidon Gabriel, and I appreciate the fact that you give me opportunity to speak on this issue.
No problem.
I think first of all, we have to go back to history a bit and put into consideration human character. This might sound a bit controversial, but human being what we are racist in nature.
Actually, why would you say that?
Yeah, what do I mean by this? Because we think more about ourselves and other people. That is human nature, which in some cases is normal, but in other cases it does depend on what level are you taking this self-consciousness to, or what I would consider to be personal greed. What level are you taking it to? That's the question. And in my own opinion, I think that's what's leading to what we are having now. What you call it, the black fatigue. A lot of this thing is being propagated, or is as a result of people feeling threatened by the progress or rise of other people they feel should not be in the same level with them. It could happen between people of the same race. It could happen between people of the same culture, the same religion. So that will give it a different name. But if it happens between people of different race, then that will give it a different name altogether. That's where we say it's a racist issue. If you look at, for example, if you look at here in England, you can see that there are what they call a class. That's what even led to the name they have in the House of Commons and the House of Lords in the Parliament. So this comes as a result of class identification, which usually based on your economic status as an individual. So, like I said, when it now cross over between people of different races, they will not regard it as racist. But in many cases, it has been part of human for us to feel we are superior than the other. If you listen to the song of Bob Marley that said, until the philosophy that all one race superior to another is eliminated, then the issue of equality, justice would be something of illusion.
I see.
Okay, so that's why it's more or less about economic issue, in my own opinion. I might be wrong, than race or color or religious or your ideology or your worldview. It's more about economic issue. Because, for example, if you look at here in England, people who are economically well off are less concerned about the issue of racism or non-racism. because it doesn't really affect them. Those who are less economically well off are more likely to have issue with racism or to have issue with people of other race, culture, religion, or whatever, because they feel over the, let's say for example, over the past 20, 50, 20, 30 years, because of the world has become a global village where people move easily from one place to the other, unlike the way it used to be. You will now find out that a lot of people are migrating because of economic reason. Okay? And in so doing, there will always be people who feel they are the original settlers of a particular place, and they're having new people coming to invade their space now. Or even those people are even, maybe at some point they are even doing better economically than them who feel they should be the owner of the land. Then there's going to be issue of it's likely going to lead to the issue of racism, and it's likely going to lead to the issue of black fatigue, or whatever phrase they want to coin it to be now. So, if human being, irrespective of your race, your religion, your political conviction, if we first of all see ourselves as human, and in so doing, realizing that what is good for you is good for your fellow human being. Like the saying goes that do to others what you want people to do to you. I think the world will be a better place. We will have more peace. And secondly, again, the issue of education is not the issue of education. A lot of the people that are more likely to be aggravated by other people coming to their what they regard as their land are people who are less educated. Because if you are well educated and you are somebody that is not confined to some level of thinking, if you are somebody that open-minded and have critical thinking, you will realize that migration movement has always been part of human being. But the issue we'll be having is when some people feel, like I said earlier, that they are superior to another people, then there's going to be the issue of racism. There's going to be the issue of a disagreement.
I see.
But if what is underpinning our coexistence is seeing others as equal to you, irrespective, like I said, irrespective of their color, their religion, their political conviction. If you see yourself as human being first, and agree that as human being we are all equal, then that will put us on a more solid ground to deal with each other than what we are having now.
I see.
Like I said, for example, if you go back, I'm from Africa, I'm from Nigeria specific. If you go back to Nigeria now, the same issue of class, discrimination, and all, but you're not going to call it racism because these are people of the same race. In some cases, people of the same religion, the same ethnicity, everything, whatever you want to call it. But the fact that some individuals just feel that they are better in their own opinion than the other person, maybe it might be because they are fortunate to be more economically well off, and in so doing, they see themselves that okay, because I'm economically well off, I'm superior than Mr. A, I'm superior than Mr. B because they are economically down the ladder than I am. So that creates a lot of problem. Like I said before, if that is happening between people of different race, then you're going to regard it as racism. So if it not happen between people of the same race, the same religion, the same culture, so what are we going to call it? That's why personally myself, I'm looking at it from a different angle of how we see ourselves as human beings. Our nature as human. It is okay for you to think first about yourself. That's a survival instinct. I'm not against that. But what I'm against is that the level that you are not taking it to feel that you are better than the other person, then that's where the problem usually generates from. These are the things that even led to the Second World War, that led to the First World War, when Adolf Hitler believed that the Aryan race are superior than every other person. So he kind of breached some kind of ideology that justified them to alienate the other people. If you go back to when slavery started, even the religious body were even, for example, the Catholic, were even supporting the whole ideology based on the fact that they feel the so-called, like I've always said, I don't agree with the term used, the term black, to identify some certain people, because if you look at the origin of the word black, it's not something that should have been used to identify people. But for the sake of the conversation, I will use the word black.
Yeah.
So you see, even the religious body were in support of what was going on slavery because of the ideology that they see the so-called black people as inferior to them. So in so doing, they decide to, they decide to see them as commodity.
Yeah.
That can be purchased and be sold. So all these things is as a result of people seeing others as less of a human than themselves. Because if you see somebody if you put somebody in equal pedestal as yourself, it's going to be very hard for you to put that person in a position that he will be a slave. It's going to be very hard because you see this person as equal to you. So even if you're going to do that, it's going to take some let me just put it this way, it's going to be hard to do that if you see this person as equal. But once you have at the back of your mind that this person is less of a human to me, then whatever you're going to do to that person, you don't feel any remorse. You just feel, okay, you are doing it out of, because he doesn't deserve to be where you are. Yeah, so that's the way I see it. But the problem is that if you have institutions that are supposed to be promoting equality,
yes,
and such institutions are promoting discrimination, discrimination in a subtle way, then they kind of giving some encouragement to those individuals who cannot hide the way they feel. But if you have institutions that are really like they claim to be really fighting against discrimination based on whatever, based on race, based on religion, based on ethnicity, based on a political conviction, then that would be a different case altogether. I'm not saying it's going to eliminate the issue of racism and discrimination totally, but
it'll be a step in the right direction.
Yeah, we put it at the very minimum, and anybody who is trying to propagate such idea will think twice before they do it, because they know there's going to be a very, very dire consequence when you are caught carrying out such action or ideology. So, secondly, I think another problem we are having that is fueling many of these racism is the issue of economy. A lot of people are not addressing that, because when people are economically economically not very well off, like I said earlier, they are more likely to commit even normal crime, apart from racism or whatever. When people are economically not well off, they are more likely to commit crime. If you look at statistics of those people in prison, majority of them are people who are not very economically well off. I'm not putting the blame on they have their, as a human you have your own whatever crime you committed. In my own opinion, you have to take responsibility for it.
Definitely. Definitely.
But there are things that institutions like the government and everything supposed to be doing in terms of trying to create economic to bridge the gap between the very rich and the poor. If the government are doing enough to do that, to bridge that gap, it will go a long way to reduce this issue of racism, discrimination, and all that. But in most cases, because of the way we've taken capitalism, the governments are not doing enough, in my own opinion, to close this gap. I give you a scenario. For example, if you look at the first 100 company on the London Stock Exchange market, the big executive of those companies, their take-home pay is more than the lowest paid 300 people put together. Let's say, for example, you have the lowest paid people in the company. So these are the cleaners, the security, the waiters, or whatever you want to call them. Maybe they are on the minimum wage. That's about 20,000 or 25,000 in a year. If you multiply that one by 10, that's about 250,000. That's what some of these chief executives take home every month. Okay? So if you multiply that 10 by another 12, that's 120 of those staff. Then if you multiply that one by 12 again, that's about just nearly 3 million. That's what some of these chief executives take home. So that means the salary of one person more than the salary of over 100 of the lowest paid workers. So such gap is not a healthy one if you want to create an equal society. But don't get me wrong, I'm not against I want people to progress because I'm a progressive. But when people are progressing on the detriment of the majority, then to me that is not a progress. That's why sometimes I see human generally now. We claim to be civilized. It's like we are misconstruing civilization with advancing technology. We are advancing technology, but in my own opinion, we are far away from civilization. Why am I saying this? If we are not far away from civilization, things like black fatigue and whatever, it's not something we should be discussing in 2025. Things like poverty is not something we should be discussing in 2025. Things like children going hungry, no food, is not something we should be discussing in 2025 if we are close to civilization as we claim to be. Like I said, we should not, we should be able to separate advancing technology from civilization. Okay? Yeah. And thirdly, the like non-governmental organizations, in my own opinion, have a role to play as well in the way they educate their followers and everything about equality and both in terms of economy and socially, to create some level of equality. So everything put together, we go a long way to help us to create a fairer society. For example, if you look at the emergence of Donald Trump as the president of America,
yes,
I'm not against all of his ideology, but more of his ideology was based on America first.
More than everybody.
So it's okay, that's fine. Like I said before, it's human nature, but what level are you taking it to? You see, when he introduced some tariff, at some point he has to backtrack because he knows they are not workable. So those are the level that I'm talking about. He took it to a level where it become unworkable. He himself has to realize that, okay, we have to backtrack on this one.
Okay.
So those are some of the things we are talking about. It's okay for you to feel, myself, yeah, that's survival instinct, that's human nature. But what level are you taking it to? So we should take it to a level where at least we'll realize that what is good for Mr. A is good for Mr. B. And seeing ourselves first as human and equal being, we go a long way to help us. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much for your piece. That was very insightful. Looking into the this new term, black fatigue. I just had one more question just before I don't take any more of your day. Just keeping it simply, maybe in a couple of words, do you feel like there's actually would you say that this is more of a reaction to, black progress? Would you say that this thing of black fatigue, would you say there's real weight to it? Or do you just feel like it's just another way for racists to, just spread the ideas? Because this wasn't, it wasn't a reaction to a video. Yeah.
I would say it's both. I say it's both in the sense that, first of all, like I said before, when people feel threatened by the progress of people they perceive not to be on equal pedestal as them, they're going to react. I think that's what's happening now. And for the fact that already they always have that prejudice in them to discriminate, and now they found something to fuel that discrimination more in them. They feel, for example, when the Democrats were in power, or let me use political parties who are more liberal. If in any nation, if a political party that is liberal is in power, they tend to try to carry everybody along on equal pedestal. So there are some people who feel threatened by such ideology because they feel their power has been taken away from them, their privilege, they lost in their privilege now. In the actual sense of it, it's a way of trying to create equal society. I use an example of what's going on in South Africa now. There's been a lot of uproar about the government taking farmland from the white farmers. But if you go into the real sense of it, the population, if you look at the population of the people, let me not use color now, let me just give it a really critical analysis.
Okay.
If you look at the population of the people, that it's like 7%. If you look at the total population, the demography of those people who owns the larger portion of the land, these are something they get as a result of the era of apartheid. They are 7%. 7% of the demography of the people that they own, 7% of the population owing over 70% of the land in South Africa. So if you want to create equal society, that shouldn't be happening. It should be, at least there should be some level of equity to create a fair society. So if you're going to do that now, those people who are in that bracket of that 7%, they will always feel threatened. Because they feel their privilege is going to be taken away from them. But the actual sense of it, they're not really allowing the society to grow the way it's supposed to be on equal ground. So I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah.
It go back to the analogy I gave earlier about the chief executive. For example, now if you tell the chief executive of the company, okay, we're going to cut your salary by 50%, so that we share it a bit evenly among other people. Even with the reduction in 50%, he's still earning a considerable high amount of money, but he's still going to feel threatened. He's not going to be happy. This is somebody that is very, very economically well off. Talk less of people who feel they are where they are as a result of people who they see are not supposed to be on equal pedestal with them. So they're always going to be free threatened. That's why I said it is both economic reason and secondly the inbuilt nature of human being, uncontrollable.
I see.
Inbuilt nature of greed of human beings. So sometimes some people allow those greed to overshadow their thinking level. So it kind of create problem for them. But if you allow your thinking level don't allow your emotions to guide the way you think, then it will go a long way to guide the way you behave and the way you react to certain situation. Because one thing that is constant in life is change. Yeah, the things are not going to be the same. They are all constantly going to be changed. So how you now adapt to that change will determine how far you go in life. So some people find it very difficult to adapt to that change, and that's why you see them coming to fight back very hard. So, but in the actual sense of it, they're fighting a losing battle because things are not going to remain the same. So it's up to them to adapt to the changes that is coming than to start to fight against it. So that's the way I think.
Right, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for your insight. Thanks so much.
So that's it for today's episode, guys. This was really insightful to gain some knowledge into this new thing of black fatigue. This series, I would like to, do a lot of things in relation to black politics, hence the name. And yeah, thanks guys for watching. Comment what you'd like to see next time or anything like that. I'm down to talk about whatever, whoever. Let's learn, let's educate. All right, IDK out.